Most people think they're overweight because they are undisciplined, lazy, or they just like food too much. But what I've found throughout my journey of overcoming emotional eating, all of my training, and helping thousands of others recover from their eating challenges is that our issues with food are caused by the nervous system. This means that you need a totally different approach to overcoming emotional and binge eating. In this video, I'll explain how your nervous system keeps you overweight and what you can do to heal it. I'm Lori Montry, a trauma-informed eating psychology coach. My claim to fame is that I have blended a very unique set of tools, practices, and modalities that provide a comprehensive solution, not a band-aid, but a solution to the challenge of binge eating, overeating, and emotional eating. It's my job to show you the way to food and body freedom. You can download my free resources below to learn about the 3 keys that I teach and start implementing them in your life today. In this video, I'm going to share one of these 3 keys, going into depth a little bit more, and this key is so absolutely essential for achieving food and body freedom. In fact, without this key, you're going to continue to spin your wheels, make the same promise to change your behavior every Monday, but stay stuck. And I know this because before I learned about this key and started applying it, I was stuck in my own battle with emotional and binge eating. Now, this key involves your nervous system. Your nervous system, it's a complex topic, right? But I'll start by sharing some really simple basics that will help you get a sense of the role your nervous system plays in your food behaviors. I think the best place for us to start our discussion is an explanation of the 3 states of your nervous system. I've developed a graduated cylinder model to help you understand it very simply. Remember those tall graduated cylinders that we used back in high school chemistry class to do all of our experiments? Those graduated cylinders are a great model, turns out, for your nervous system. So you'll recall that the graduated cylinders, they had numbers, maybe 1 to 10, right, running up the side. And these numbers represent the various states of your nervous system. When the beaker is filled in that 1 to 3 range, you're in the ventral vagal parasympathetic state. In this state, you feel safe, social, calm, alive, resourced, and ready for life. Then when the beaker is filled in that 4 to 7 range, you're more in the sympathetic, the fight or flight state. And this state is all about mobilization for the sake of survival. Toward the upper end of this state, you're likely to become hyper aware of your external environment, and you may feel a lot of threats coming in all around in your environment. Now, the 8 to 10 range, the top of the graduated cylinder, represents the other branch of the parasympathetic state, known as the dorsal vagal, the freeze state, or the shutdown. In this state, you feel overwhelmed with a capital O. Everything seems so hard. Crawling under the bed feels about like the only thing that's doable. It's also possible to overfill your cylinder, and when it's pouring over, you're in deep overwhelm and nothing else is getting in. Now, ideally, you would move fluidly through the various states, spending most of your time in that 1 to 3 range. You'd move up to the sympathetic and the dorsal vagal from time to time, but you'd really only remain above 4 or 5 for very short periods of time before returning back to baseline. However, many of us are living with a graduated cylinder that is rarely, if ever, in the 1 to 3 range. You may spend most of your time at the 7 or above, which means you're living in a state of survival nearly all the time. Now, I give a little bit more detailed discussion on how your cylinder may have gotten so full in a downloadable guide that I will link to below. But what you really need to understand is that when you're in a survival state, meaning you're at a 5 or above on the graduated cylinder, and you spend a lot of time there, conscious control, conscious choice, impulse control, all of these things become very difficult. Everything feels like a big deal. Self-soothing becomes next to impossible. And this state of survival is what causes you to reach for food to deal with the fire alarm that's going off within your mind and body. One of the biggest keys to overcoming emotional eating is learning how to regulate your activated nervous system. In doing so, you can reduce the liquid in your cylinder, switch out of survival, and into your higher functioning brain. Because it's your higher brain that can stop your hand as you reach for the chips or the ice cream and ask, Do I really want this, or is this just an impulse that will pass in a few minutes? Being stuck in survival is why you feel like you're on autopilot without the ability to make a conscious choice when reaching for the food. It's why 30 minutes after eating the food, you wonder, why the hell did I do that when I know I don't want to? After an emotional eating experience, you may feel like you weren't really there at all because part of you wasn't. Your higher brain was not there. It wasn't on board. By working to calm and regulate your nervous system, you reduce the liquid in your cylinder, regain access to your higher brain that can solve problems, self-soothe, and make a conscious decision that feels good both in the moment and later too. When you understand your nervous system and how to work with it, you can stop trying to control yourself with food, stop shaming yourself, and find food and body freedom instead. So the question, or I guess I should say the solution, then becomes, how do I regulate my nervous system, get back in touch with my higher brain so that I can act from my place of power instead of acting from survival? In a nutshell, working with your nervous system can take you from survival brain to higher brain. In my 16 module Freedom from Emotional Eating program that's opening again in a few weeks, I teach several modalities, and there are many ways for us to work with the nervous system to get regulated and to regain that beautiful access to your higher brain. One of the most effective means of communication with the nervous system is called somatic experiencing. And I've done some videos specifically on somatic experiencing, and you should definitely check them out. I've linked one such video in the comments below. This is one of the best modalities that we have to really quickly be able to change the state of our nervous system. Can you imagine how different life would be if you didn't feel like you were running from tigers all day long? How much different would it feel for you to feel resourced and capable instead of just trying to survive the day? Imagine how your eating habits would change if you felt calm and you had capacity to handle life. I really hope that by hearing this information about the nervous system, that you can start to get a clear picture of what it takes to end emotional eating, take back your control over food, and begin nourishing your body. Weight loss and health are the natural consequence of working with your nervous system. And this is such a missing piece in most approaches, if not every other approach, to end emotional eating. So if you're ready to learn more about the 3 keys to food and body freedom, download the free resources, check out the other videos linked below, and know that you can absolutely overcome your challenges with food, just like the thousands of other people who have learned to work with their nervous system. I would love to hear your questions and your comments below. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please take a second to do that now. It helps me get this kinds of information in the hands of the people who need it. Thank you for spending time with me, and I look forward to hearing more about where you are, how you're finding this information, and how you're able to use it in your day-to-day.